Welcome to Blueprints for Brilliance Coaching Insights, a podcast by coaches for coaches. Our guests share their hard-won wisdom to help you grow your coaching business and create a life of success. So get ready to unlock the blueprints to your success. Okay, welcome everyone to our newest episode. I'm thrilled to have you joining me today. And I'm also thrilled to have Pamela Dale from her company's called The Client Code. And she is a client coach. So I'm excited to hear about that. So welcome to the show, Pamela.
Thank you, Jeanne, for having me. Really looking forward to the conversation.
Yes, it was some fun. So tell us a little bit about what is a client coach and how did you become a client coach?
Well, it was really born out of the sheer desire and desperation to understand why I couldn't get clients. Right from the beginning, I was really struggling. I started as a coach and I thought, well, let's go get some clients. And I couldn't. So I thought it was in my coaching certifications that maybe I wasn't quite good enough as a coach. So I got more and more and more certifications. And I started to notice that I was probably one of the smartest broke coaches I knew. And I knew there had to be an answer. There had to be a code, I thought, right? So I went looking for that because there was no way in hell I was going to go back and get a job.
Yep, I can appreciate that. I love that you had all those certifications.
I still have them.
But, I could totally relate to that. Like, I'm missing something. What am I missing? I need to get another certification.
And a lot of us think the same thing because we're missing a few key pieces. And the first couple of key pieces are absolute desire to do this and understanding what business looks like. So business doesn't look like what I saw it was on Instagram or on social media, right? And all of the really brilliant marketers, I thought they had all the answers. Build a funnel, post on social, do this, all of these things. And I tried them all and I still couldn't get a client, Jeanne. So it was like, what is going on? And I started to really take a good look at it. Well, first was I didn't understand business. I don't know about you, but when I was growing up, the women sat in the kitchen and the men went to the living room, and we were not a part of those conversations around business. We were not part of the DNA or the ancestral, or it's not in us as women. We don't have that knowledge. And then what they did teach us about business was that salespeople, business people, any movie, any book, anything that you've ever seen, they are the villains. And you and I as women do not want to be those people. So we think we have to dress selling up as something very pretty. And we are not selling, we're serving. And what we're missing is the ability to sell. Because selling is selling, we must sell. We just must remove some of the old, outdated ideas about selling. And then it was, well, what do I think about me? What do I believe about me? What do I believe about the life, the world, business, money, all of these things? I had to tackle those. And then once I tackled those, clients came suddenly because all of the back training, I had it. I was missing the courage and the absolute desire to go and talk to people and talk to people and talk to people and talk to people.
I love that. It's so funny you talk about the villains in the movies. My husband is English and we always watch Midsummer Murders. It's a show that's been on for, I don't know, we're on like season 20 or something. It's been on for years and years. And it's always the wealthy people who are the evil ones. The ones who
Right.
get all the money are always mean and bad, and they're murdering people. And it always makes me shake my head, like, oh, could we have some really wealthy characters who are nice, who are
Right.
giving? Because there are those people out there.
99% of them are. But we're carrying this old, outdated, and also programming around what this looks like. So for me, I started to think, well, what would be the motive of something like that? Like, is that true? Is that actually the way that things really are? And I've met people with a lot of money and they were the kindest, most generous people, and they weren't. But why do we associate it with money versus their hair color or their eyes or where they live? It's got something to do with money. Well, I think especially if you give women economic empowerment, what happens? The whole world is going to flip, and it is flipping on its head. They do not want us to have that level of power and control. What if it's that? Have we even taken a day and a half 3.5 minutes to question whether or not that's true. Does that thought and belief system work for me when I'm over here needing and wanting the money to grow a business to provide for myself and my family? If I have the need and I've got these beliefs and thoughts, something's got to give. I've either better be homeless or figure this out. So it was really about questioning everything. Did I know what I actually knew and was it valuable? And I started to learn that the brain just likes to make shit up. So if it's making stuff up and none of my memories can actually really be verified, like if we think about it, right? So then why don't I use my brain to help me versus what it was doing in the past? And that was, it was trying to kill me. Mine was saying, you're the problem, you're out. If you leave, everything will be okay. That was trauma. But was that actually the truth or was it just what was being fed? So I had to determine what is it that I really want. I had to have a compelling reason to move past the thought processes and the habits and the pathologies that I had. So that's always the work. But they don't talk about that because it's easier to sell a funnel because your brain is going to automatically go, hey, that's a lot of work to change your thoughts. I'm just serving all of my energy for the saber-toothed tiger that's coming through the wall at any minute now. So once we understand that, it's a very different game that we're playing. We think it should be easier than it is to overcome our thought processes, and it's actually not. It's one of the hardest things we'll ever do. And then the funnel building and the social and what you do as an expert is so easy after that.
Yeah, I love that. So, what was your compelling reason?
It was 2017. I was sitting in my apartment with my husband in Vancouver, Canada. He was working 12, 14-hour days, 7 days a week to support us, while I was in my little office making no money. In fact, I was spending it faster than we could make it. I was started to go into debt because I bought another coaching program. And it was very clear that I was going to have to stop. I no longer had the time, the energy, the money, the psychological wherewithal to keep going. So I decided I would get one more kick at the can. I left. I left Vancouver. I went to Durango, Mexico, in an apartment above one of my friend's mothers. And I sat there and said this: if you do not make this business work, you are not going home. I put myself in a position to make it or not make it. And what I meant was I'm not coming home. I needed to do something drastic. I think environment is one of the most underrated and also one of the most important things that we overlook as women. Who and what is in our environment. And for me, that break in habit made it very clear that I was the problem. It wasn't this, it wasn't that, I was sitting with myself, definitely quiet, language I didn't understand, nothing I understood. It was me. And I happened to come across a guy who was doing ClickFunnels and he was running an affiliate program. He made like 6, 7 figures. I'm like, I think I could do that. Right? I kept changing my offer because I thought, that's got to be the problem still. And he got on a call with me. He's out of England, had the same kind of personality that I did. He says, how much money do you got? I said, I don't have any. He says, how much money do you have? I said, $500. He says, fantastic. Let's get started. And he said to me, what you're going to do is you're going to go into the ClickFunnels group. You're going to comment. You're going to go happy to help. You're going to get on 3 phone calls and you're going to call me back. And he hung up on me. There was no story. There was no whining. There was no what. There was no how. There was no nothing. It was walking and pacing in my apartment until I heard the voice, Jeanne. The voice was clearer than I'd ever heard it in my whole life. It said, sit the fuck down. And from that moment, I distinguished there were 2 of me. The one that was trying to kill me and the one that had my best interest at heart. And that's when things started to change. I realized I had a say over the voice in my head, that the one that kept trying to take me out was not the real me. And from that moment forward, I was able to get clients. I made a lot of money very quickly because, again, I just did the actions not knowing it was going to come. And then I couldn't understand how to work with them. And then I got into another problem of having too much and scope creep and people pleasing. And all the other pieces came next. But it was sheer desperation. I could not go back and get a job.
It's so interesting because I think there's a lot of coaches that I know for sure that love to learn like you do, but it sometimes becomes a hindrance that you're not actually doing it. You keep learning it. I love the learning And I even get into that mode. But, at some point you've got to say, I got to stop. And like you said, I got to make those phone calls or reach out to those people and make those connections.
Every business that I was ever in as an employee, there was a sales team. The sales team ran the world. I was a salesperson. We got the trips, we got the pizza, we got the prizes, we got the trophies. You want customer service to change the whole methodology because you sold something a little different? They would make way because it was all about the sales. And I realized when I talk with people, there's no sales teams. There's not even a salesperson. There's not a sales process. There's nobody selling. There's the learner, but the learner's just afraid. That's all that is. Your brain wants you to stay safe. So it's going to have you do that. Everyone knows that there's a moment, a line in the sand, especially as women when we make a decision. And we know the difference when we have, and we know the difference when we haven't. And there will come a day in every single business owner's life where you will need to do or close the door. You will need to shut it down. So we are running it like a hobby. We have someone else usually supporting us. We don't have somebody like pushing us. There's nobody who's paying the rent. A business is a business. So we have to understand that business is about profit. So it's a worthiness issue. It's a money issue. We've got to start thinking about all of those things on top of it. But most of us are not running a business.
Yep, I can totally see that. Yeah, no sales process. I love that. Because there's so many people I feel like who entrepreneurs who start businesses because they want to do something for people, but they forget that they need to be compensated for that in order to keep doing it for people.
Right.
And in order to grow, you need a team, you need other people to help you. So, you've got to think bigger if you want to make more profit, and asking for money for something is not a bad thing. And I think that's a really hard lesson for women, especially to learn, because we just want to do for everyone.
What we've done is we've mixed it. We have, and you'll see these posts on Facebook sometimes, right? Next time I'm going to charge what I'm worth. And I'm like, whoa. Do you really want Bob, who lives in his mother's basement in Albuquerque, New Mexico, to have a say in what your worth is? That's what's happening when you say something like that, when you charge based on that. I ask people to make a switch. First, you're 100% worthy simply because you're born. There's a thought. You get to pick it up. You don't work on it. Stair step your way into it, put it over on the shelf, deal with it other than in your 9 to 5 work hours. And you're going to need to deal with it over and over and over and over again. It's going to sneak back into the goddamn business. I swear it does. So then how do you charge? What do you charge? Well, you charge based on what the service is worth. You charge based on what the result is worth. And we need to pull us out of it. It's not because I can build a funnel still today in 2.5 minutes that I can make somebody $1 million. I've done it before. I charged $1,300 for that sucker. Crazy now that I think about it, right? But it was like, oh my God, will she even pay that? I must work nights and weekends just so she, you know what? I've got to do that because she paid me. I had it wrong. So now it's what is that? And we need to become very clear and in tune with the results. So there's some work that needs to be done. Most of us as service-based business owners, as coaches, are not clear on the actual path that we take clients through and what is the result. So we'll say fluffy stuff like happiness, or we've got some thinking work to do. We've got some work to do as coaches. What is it that we do? So for me, it's I'm going to help you master the client game so that you can make the money that's going to provide for you and your family the reason you started this thing. And if you don't figure out how to work with clients, you're never going to make it. It's insidious, the relationship with clients, when you're that close in someone's business. So it's very, very important. I'm worthy. You're moving mankind forward simply because you exist. Fantastic. Put her over here. What's the service worth? And determine that. And don't let Bob or the first person or your mom say it's too expensive. Talk to 100 people. If you don't get a bite, then maybe you got a pricing problem. But I'll guarantee you, you talk to 100 people, you'll sell 20, 30, and you got another problem.
Then comes problem number 2. So
Right.
as far as those problems that you have discussed or that you were just introducing, how do you help people in your business?
So scope creep is one of the biggest pieces in a service-based business and even in a coaching business, because clients will ask, people will ask, you'll have different personalities. So the first thing is to set the procedures, the boundaries, how you work, all of these things out front. A lot of us don't until it becomes too late. And then it's like a slippery slope. You can't pull back. Like I call it a jellyfish business, right? It's just all over. So the biggest thing is, how do you work? When do you work? What's included? What's not included? What are the extras? How are extras added? When are they put into the schedule? Because what happens is I need an extra form. Happened all the time. Okay. And you would just stop everything you do and put it in right now. But it affects, you can't get them off the plate. So then it pushes the next client back, the next client back, the next client back. And then pretty soon you're scrambling 7 days a week to catch up because I need the next client because I got rent to pay. So it's our own doing, but we're people pleasers, most of us, because we don't want to be seen as what? Let's go back to the movies. Let's go back to wealthy people that ask for money are bad people. Well, we're going to have to talk about that probably, right? Because why is the level of money that you have okay, but their level is not okay when there's obviously many people underneath you? Why is that level not okay? Where did you draw the line for yourself? So someone else has drawn the line here, we judge them, but you are not homeless. So money must be important to some degree. Like, let's tell the truth, right? So I'm like, stop with the pretty little lies.
The pretty little lies. I love that. But
Charge accordingly.
yeah. Yeah. So do you have like a formula? You called it the client scope.
Client code.
Oh, cracking the client code. You have a book. I love it.
There are 6 P's in the process to cracking the client code. The first one is people. There are 4 types of people. The very first person, guess who it is? YOU. Then it's clients. Then it's your environment. And then it's your competition. And your competition is, you guessed it, YOU. Second P is your product. What are you selling? Third is processes. Fourth is platforms. What are you putting everything on? Where is your visibility platform? What is the platform? Number 5 is partnerships. We think we can do this damn thing alone. And then number 6 is prosperity. There is a number of different things in prosperity, but you cannot get to prosperity until you've handled the first 5. So I walk people through. The book's got 60 worksheets in them, all for free. You can do the whole course, whole thing by yourself. Everything is lined out with a course, with videos in it, etc. It all comes with the book. And it's my life's work. It's what I determined. First, I couldn't get a client. Then I couldn't work with clients. Then I couldn't get them off the plate. Then I couldn't. And I had to keep evolving and evolving and evolving to now that I'm over $300,000 a year working less than 3 days a week because I'm running a coaching business on the other 2 or 3 days a week. So I'm running 2 businesses together till the coaching business takes off. A service-based business is one of the most beautiful businesses you can ever start and work with because you can make money very quickly and very fast.
I love that. I love that. So tell us a little bit about what type of clients do you work with? I'm assuming it's service-based businesses because that's what you've been talking about. But, are they established? Are they starting from scratch? Let's talk about that.
Usually they need to be a year in and experience some of the absolute utter desperation that's coming from being involved with clients that are not ideal. And the client game, it doesn't matter if it's a coach or if it's a service-based business owner, the client issues are the same out front. Dealing with and selling packages for coaching is a little bit different than it is selling for services. There's a lot more involved with services, but the exact same steps are actually in place. If the coach is struggling with their product, with their platforms, how do they deliver? How all of it's in service today. You need to be serviced well. Partnerships are so important for coaches, right? But the service-based business over here has a few other challenges. So the client game, no matter who it is, the steps work. Service-based business owner, the reason that I speak to that is because I'm currently right now doing the very thing I'm teaching and asking other people to do. And I'm also currently doing the exact same thing I'm asking coaches to do. So it's not something I did in the COVID boom. It's not something I did 5 years ago when leads were $1.50, right? I'm talking about right now. It's a very different game, a very different place and time that we're in. So it's important to understand that the person that you're looking at or following or listening to is actually doing it, not promising something that they did 2 years ago, 3 years ago. It won't work today. So I'm boots on the ground right now in the client game.
I love that. Are you enjoying it?
Love it. Oh my God. Because I started this damn thing way back then as a coach. Really long story how I got here, but it was in that ability to take something that I had known, experienced, understood, worked through, or I felt I could guide others to do the same, it kind of helps me make my life make sense. That's where I was back then. That's a little bit needy. That's a little bit all of those ooky things, right? I get it now. But today I have enough money. Like you get to a place where you have enough, right? Enough, whatever the enough is. So then the next piece must be, what is it that's going to continue me to the next level, that's going to propel me there, because the brain work, the uncomfortableness, the failures, all of these things need something to keep pushing me forward. So today it's in the growth that I experience on a daily basis to become the person in the future who's made the $10 million. That's what keeps me moving. And if someone would like to come along for that ride, I've got a boat ready. Like, let's go, right? Because I would have liked that at the start.
I love that. Yeah, I love that about coaches. I love that about what you're talking about. And that is, we've learned from what we've done and so trying to make it easier for other people who want to go that path, but don't necessarily need to do all the learning. We've done some of it for you.
Some of it can be circumvented. Some of it can be not as wiggly, right? And then other times I'm going to need to fall in the same ditch somebody else did. But there's somebody there that goes, yeah, I gotcha, and just brushes you off. There's no shame. There's no, I told you so. It's just, yeah, let's go.
Yeah. Makes you
Yeah.
brave. You're brave. I love, and you're making other people brave. So it's fantastic. So Pamela, tell me, the people who are listening are maybe saying, oh my gosh, that I need that book. I need to speak to that woman because she's talking my language and I want to learn right alongside her, but I want to learn from what she already knows as well. So what is the best way for them to reach out to you?
theclientcoach.com is my website. And the book is called, it's crackingtheclientcode.com. So you can sign up for the wait list. She's just getting the funnel done. So she's, by the time this airs, though, it might very well be out.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah. Last question for you. If you could provide one tip to make the world a better place, what would that be?
It's funny. I get these little, I think it's Jesus talking to me. I get these little red marquee signs go across my forehead. And when you asked me that question before we got on this call, the one word that came out for me was, remember who you are. We could get caught in the past, the voice, the one that's not helpful. I always say, like, she's disguised as useful. But there's that other voice. We all know her. She's actually the person we are. She's the one that already has made the $10 million. She knows what to do. She knows that it's going to be okay. So we need to remember who we are versus who we were.
Very profound. Very profound. Well, Pamela, this has been amazing. You have shared so much great information with my audience. I so appreciate that. And I'm grateful you spent some time with me today.
I am so grateful for the platform. Thank you for the opportunity to share the story. My goal is that perhaps through the words of myself, I think especially as women, maybe we can hear ourselves, because sometimes it can be quite lonely. And it's gave me many times a little bit of hope.
Well, I think you've given everyone hope today. So we will put all of Pamela's information in the show notes below so that you can easily click through and either purchase her book or book a call with her and learn more about her. So again, Pamela, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you. Enjoy your day.
Thanks for joining us today on Blueprints for Brilliance Coaching Insights. We hope you're leaving this episode with inspiration to take your coaching business and your life to the next level. If you found value in this episode, we would love it if you would subscribe and share it with someone else who you think might benefit from hearing it. Thanks, and we'll see you in the next episode.